This is my 2003 911 Targa 996. Recently I've been experiencing issues with charging. Warning came on the dash as I was sitting and idling and taking a quick peek at the alternator. As it ran, I could see some arcing, so I have decided to replace it. I've removed the airbox already, but before I go any further, I am going to disconnect the ground from the battery. I'm using a 11 millimeter. Removing the airbox is very easy. There's really only 2 points where it's connected to the car. There's a 13 millimeter bolt right here, and this connects to the throttle body. There's a connection for the mass airflow sensor here. This was the most difficult part. For me, I found it was easiest to take this out, loosen this, rock the airbox back out of position, then you can get to the back side of this. And there's a clip that holds the mass airflow sensor connector on, and then these are captivating the wire, kind of routing it, and these just open and close. You open them and you lift it out and the whole thing comes out. One thing I'm going to do, because it's actually easier to do when it's on the bench than in the car, is clean my air filter. I don't remember how long the filter's been in there. It's remarkably clean, and I gotta say, it's much easier to get to this thing when it's out of the car. I think I'm gonna go that way from now on. This is my replacement alternator. It came highly rated off of Amazon. It was not expensive. I think if you get a Bosch, you're looking at $200. This one was $80, but all the ratings were very positive about it. So I thought it's worth a shot. If not, I know how to put one in. Secondly, since I'm going to be completely into the back of the engine here, I thought it'd be a good time to replace the belt. This is a Porsche belt. I figured I could spring for the expensive belt. Now I'm using my motorcycle stand here as my workbench. I've pretty much got everything I need out, so I don't have to search for it. I think it's important when you do something like this to kind of have all the tools you need at hand. I think everything I would possibly need is here. The oil filler is in the way, there's no question about it. Barring removing it, I've elected to just bungee it to the side. There is a good metal anchor point to attach a bungee to. Be careful not to pull on it too much. It is a flex fit, you don't want to damage it. I think we're okay like this. The belt comes off relatively easily. 15/16 standard socket. It fits right on this tightener, and you rotate it down. It gives you the ability to get your belt off and on. What I did is I popped it here, and then once it's off here, the rest of it just is loose. I'm going to leave it in there because I'm going to use it as a guide when I put the new one in. Another thing to do when you're at this stage is to test your bearings on your deflector rollers, whatever you call them. You want them to spin and stop. You don't want them just to continually spin like that. This one is shot. So that may mean I need to order another part. So I researched this a bit more, and that is bad. It's not supposed to spin like that. It's supposed to spin like this one. I don't know if you can see that one or this one. So I did order a replacement. I'll put the link in the description. I always want to say that. I don't know if you heard that pop. There was definitely some Loctite on there. So I need to remember to put that on when I replace it. 15 millimeter socket. Well, actually, a little bit of rust in there. So it'll be interesting to see what the new one looks like. Put this back in a couple of turns. This right here is the back side of the bolt I just put back in. It's pre-installed in the new one, but it needs to be pounded back to clear the bracket. So the bolt is put in place and I get to hammer it. But first I'm going to hit it with a little WD-40. My hope is that that will penetrate and loosen it, and I can go at it at a later time after it's soaked for a while. I suppose it won't hurt to give it a try now. There's not a lot of room in here. This may be too big a hammer. Oh wow, that moved easily. The other channels on YouTube made it seem like that was going to be a big deal, but that was just, I don't know, 3 or 4 taps. It moved right out of the way. So this comes out. One more bolt. There we go. All right, it's out. I rotated it clockwise and it pretty much just popped right out. So now we got to deal with the connections. My 13 millimeter. It's out. Ooh, it's definitely toast. So here's what's confusing. This is laying loose. I don't know what that connector goes to. This is the one that came off of it. Anybody knows what that one is for? Let me know. I know it didn't come off my alternator. It was loose from the get-go. Maybe for a option. So my part won't be in for several days. This part here. When I was sure this one was bad, I ordered a replacement. And that is just supposed to spin a little bit and stop, not spin and spin and spin. According to what I learned on YouTube. Credit where credit's due. If you're watching on how to do this on YouTube, you're just watching a compilation of a lot of videos. I just felt like there were bits and pieces from all the videos that needed to come together, and that's why I'm doing this. So I made the decision while I'm waiting for my part that probably won't get here until next week to go ahead and put everything together in situ. I will put the new alternator in and bolt it as far as I can. I will go ahead and put the new belt in and then just have everything waiting for my new part to arrive so I can put it together quickly then. Here are the two alternators. They are pretty much identical. Maybe this was a cheap knockoff alternator. It doesn't say Bosch anything on it, and it looks identical to this cheap Chinese one. No telling how many miles this has on it. I mean, I've had the car for almost 20,000 miles, and what can I say? It performed up until it didn't. Actually, even when it didn't perform and it was arcing out, it was still occasionally making voltage. It's an incredibly tight fit in there. So, take this ground wire. Yeah, that feels good. Fortunately, this can go only one way. Somewhat idiot-proof. Far more difficult than I had anticipated. Okay, we're getting close. There we go. Use this as the placeholder. I'm only temporarily putting this one in, but I'm permanently putting this one in. I can see remnants of Loctite on this, so I am going to reapply some of the blue stuff. There we go. There we go. Now it's where I want it. I'm going to back this back down. And I'm going to torque this. The answer is 33 foot-pounds. Newton meters, I'm going to guess that's about 46. There we go. Finally, really today, the last thing I can do is replace the belt, or I can at least put it in place. I am trying to pay special attention to this routing. Oh, getting around that bottom pulley. That's a challenge. Wow. Fun getting a new one in, because getting the old one out's a pain in the butt. As you can tell, that was a fight. You can unwind the whole pulley, and the bottom pulley is the water pump. Anyway, the clearance is really tight. In the frame, there is a cutout. Use the cutout to your advantage. You have to work belt out, and so now I have to reverse that. Try to get the new belt in the same way. It's the old belt here. It's in fairly good shape. It's in really good shape, really. I don't know how old it is. 20,000 plus miles. I just saw a couple of spots where it looked a little worn. It's a Continental belt, whereas this one is a Porsche belt. The Porsche belt feels a little bit flatter, but I can see that it's just maybe a hair wider, so maybe it'll go in easier than it came out. I'll take the whole thing. I'm going to start from the bottom. Use the little cutout in the support frame to kind of work it in. That's the front of the pulley. Okay, it's in. Went in a lot easier than coming out. So I know it goes up here. It actually goes down there, missing this bearing. Around here. Around here. So, when this is back in place, I will slip this off of here, and that'll give me clearance to put this back together right. And then This goes like here. I tighten this over or release the tensioner, and this should slip over. Until I get that last part, I'm done. Unfortunately, a week has passed and I still don't have my part. I am going to put the old worn out part in. The bearing got rerouted, came out of New Jersey. For some reason, it went to California on the way to Louisville, but I'm ready to drive the car. So since the process is so easy, when I get the part next week, it'll only take me probably 20 minutes to put the part in. The old bad bearing. I'm going to put some Loctite on the end of it anyway. Back in it goes. 15 millimeter. As I tighten it down, it pulled that little recess back, the one that I hammered back earlier. There we go. Now hopefully to get the belt on. One thing I'm noticing is the belt is not seated around the main drive pulley on the crank. So I want to make sure that's set correctly before I even try to go to the next step. Actually, to do that, I may need to pull some tension off of it. Need to take a bigger bite. And there it is. Found my little trusty 11 millimeter socket. Ooh. It's interesting to hear the car come alive when I connect that. Let's see if we have any voltage. Well, since I robbed you of the pleasure of seeing the air filter come out, air box, you can watch me put it back in so you have an idea of how it goes. Besides that, without the sensor connected, the car runs like crap. Try to keep this PG. Sensor. I'm lining it up on the top here where that 13 millimeter goes in. I don't want to get too far. I want this to be captive. So at that point I've got them both snapped in. Pretty much lined up on the box. That's snapped in. Really, that's all there is to it. I'll wrap it up here. Job done, easy to do. One thing, after I reconnected my battery, my radio flashes Porsche. Common things, when you disconnect your battery and reconnect your battery, your Bose amplifier blows a fuse. It doesn't blow a fuse in the amplifier, it actually blows it in the floorboard down by your foot. So I know when I go back, pull that, I will find a blown fuse. I'll plug that in, radio works again. See you guys next time.